everybody, it's Uber Grace time, and I'm back in my favourite little woodland spot. It's just great here, and a lot of people over the years have talked to me a little bit and said what they really want to do is get back to first century Christianity. And I'm thinking about this a bit more recently, and it sort of makes me giggle. I think what people really want is all the miracles and stuff that they perceive happened in the first century. Obviously there was no church till about 33, 34 AD, so you're talking about the last 3/4 of the century. And that was great, you know, we want to have that kind of Christianity. What I want to point out, actually, a few things about first century Christianity. First of all, they didn't really believe in hell. It wasn't until the church got to Rome and there was people in Rome that kind of got a hold of some of the pagan stuff around the Greek and ideas of Hades and Tartarus that actually hell took on as a thing. So the first century Christians didn't believe in hell. So there, stick that in your pipe. The other thing as well is, if you remember, wasn't until the 40s, 50s, 60s maybe, individual letters were written by Paul and other people and sent around the place. There was no New Testament. There was no Bible. The Old Testament only had Bibles. Well, sorry, the Old Testament was the Bible they had, excuse me. But that was generally in a pile of scrolls in a synagogue. So across the empire, maybe some of the larger towns would have had a synagogue, maybe two in the cities, and that's where the scrolls were. So no one could go and just pick up a Bible and check out Jonah and Jeremiah and all that malarkey, and Malachi as well, all those books. But there was no New Testament, right? There was no New Testament. They just simply didn't have it. In fact, when Paul wrote, say, Ephesians, when he wrote Ephesians and sent it off to the post office, he no longer had Ephesians, right? Even Paul didn't have Ephesians when he'd written Ephesians, right? So there was no one had, apart from maybe in Ephesus and that area, once the postman had got Ephesians to them, he was then... They had a copy of that at the church, and maybe they had some people who could write, and they would maybe make a few copies and that kind of thing over time. But in Ephesus, they just had one book. In Colossae, they had one book. I mean, they were suggested that they might swap with the book, that the Laodicean letter that was sent, that we don't have a copy of. So, you know, there was none of it until about once the Roman government took over the running and turned the church into an institution instead of a movement. And they then chartered, under a guy called Jerome, they chartered an actual Bible. Now, the Bible's great. I love it. And if you really know me, you know, I've been studying the Bible for over 40 years, and I study it now, and I absolutely love it. I see it differently. I've set it free from some of the constraints us humans have put on it. But it's a great book, if read correctly. But let me tell you, if you want to be a first century style Christian, put your Bible away. Stick it on the shelf. Let it gather dust. Because Jesus never promised us a book. He promised us Spirit of truth. He promised us another comforter. He said the Spirit of truth, when he comes, will lead you into all truth. And we just have people who follow a book and call themselves Christians. No, they're Bookians. They're Biblians. To be fair, they're generally using the book to make rules about how to live and who's in and who's out. So actually, they're using the Bible to go round the whole tree of knowledge of good and evil. They're actually followers of Moses. They're not followers of Jesus. And I want to be a follower of Jesus. I want to have Christ. Well, I've got Christ within me, and I want to follow the Spirit of truth that leads me into all truth. That's what I want. I'm not getting bound by someone else's narcissistic viewpoint on what a book says, as good as that book is. Yeah? So if you want to be a first century Christian, put the Bible on the shelf. Learn to listen to what the Spirit of God inside you is saying, and learn from him. Come to me. Don't come to a book, all you who are weary and heavy laden. Come to me. Not me. Jesus is talking. Come to me and I will give you rest. Learn from me, because I'm gentle and humble of heart. I'm not a book. First century Christianity, no hell, lots of miracles, and of course, a fair amount of persecution, to be fair, if you really want it. And they were persecuted for being Christians, not for being buttheads, right? And also, they had no Bible ready. So all that pressure you get to read your Bible every day. I met a pastor from Africa, he's an American missionary there. I get my church to read 22 chapters a day. What a muppet. What an absolute muppet. And I just think that people have got the wrong end of the stick. Please be free. Be a first century Christian. Hey, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope that helped. If you did, don't forget there's another 111 of these crazy videos on YouTube and on the table page on Facebook. Please like, comment, argue, push back, share, subscribe if you're on the YouTube channel, and I hope you have a magnificent day. Thank you for tuning in. Bye now.